This girl I met on an airplane, she was blind and she couldn't see outside at the sky and the sunset that was going on, but she felt the heat of it, so she would just ask me what it looked like, so I had to describe it to her. So I remember her because I appreciate sight because of her.
One time I was working a part-time as an Uber driver and I picked up this man. He was from Vietnam. Somehow, it's been kind of a long time, but I remember him telling me how many people died, Vietnamese died in the Vietnam War, and how he, because of what had happened, he had to go to training, and like right when he was done with training was like the second they stopped the war, so he didn't have to go. And the whole time with this story, he was telling me on the way to where I was taking him to his destination. And he said, you know, sometimes people are very lucky. I was a very lucky man. And he said sometimes not so lucky. And I was dropping him off at a cancer center. And I don't know why, but it just touched me so much that he shared that with me, and it's always stuck with me. And he was a very lovely man, and I'll always remember him to this day. I just wish that I had stayed with him because I don't think anyone was there with him for his cancer treatment. That's what I wish to this day.
I was in Pompeii, and this older Italian couple was there just as some tourists looking at the Pompeii ruins, and they saw that we were Americans, and they came up to me just out of the blue and they said, "Are you American?" And I said, "Yes." And they were like, threw their arms around me and said, "Thank your grandparents. You saved our lives. We will always love Americans for what you did for us after World War II." And as a young American, I never really realized the impact that America had on Europe at that time. But that day, the hug from those old people I didn't even know just because we were Americans, to this day has been with me. So
I remember I saw this this homeless man and his two daughters in this alcove in Chicago one night. I'll just always remember it, wishing I could do something more, wishing I would have done something.
I was working in a grocery store, just like heading somewhere to go put something away. This guy goes, "You don't look like you belong here. You look like you should be in a larger city doing something important."
So are you in a big city now?
Yeah.
And what are you doing?
I'm a jewelry designer.
So would you say that he was right and that it came true?
Yeah, and I never thought about that. And you'll probably be the third stranger I remember like 10 years later.
So it was in Phuket Islands in Thailand. So I met this girl who came from South Africa, and I don't know, I must have been like 14. And so we met at the swimming pool and we played like ping pong and everything. And at that time I didn't speak a word of English, or like with the Singaporean accent, because I lived there. And so she kept on helping me having a better accent, and particularly for three, the thing with the tongue that we in French we don't do. And so I remember that she kept on telling me, "Say three, three, three," and I have this in mind. And while we were taking the boat, you have the motor of the boat, which makes a lot of sounds. And I was training myself because I knew that no one around could hear me. And I was like, just like, three, three, three. And I remember this girl who was pretty as well and really nice. And thanks to her, I learned the thing with the tongue to speak English. That's the story.
I was doing Peace Corps in Guatemala, and for some reason I was really late in getting to my bus to take me to my little village. And so I knew I was not supposed to be walking at night by myself, but I didn't have any other choice. So I was by myself walking to the bus station, which is kind of a little shady, and this man comes up to me and he says, "Stay with me right now, you need to walk, take a right, take a right." And I was like, "What's going on?" And he's like, you're in danger right now. And so we kept walking, we got out of there, and there was, I guess, allegedly a group of guys or a gang that was there that were watching me come in. And so I went to his house, he took me there, and he fed me dinner with his kids, and ended up driving me up to my house. And so it was a pretty amazing experience.
So what made you trust him?
I don't know. There was something about his motive that felt like it was altruistic, that he really cared. I had no idea. It was just instinctual and really fast, but yeah.
It actually wasn't very long ago. In fact, it was on Friday. I went ice skating on my own, And as I was leaving the ice skating rink, I heard a little voice say, "Hola!" And I looked down and there was a little Down syndrome girl in like full figure skating outfit with her little figure skating skates on, and she was waving at me, and she was super cute.
So why does that stand out to you, do you think?
I have a Down syndrome uncle who's one of my favorite people in the world, and yeah, so when I saw her, it just made me really happy.
So I was at a grocery store at home, and I was looking at coffee creamer, and a nice gentleman came up to me and told me that my eyes looked beautiful and that I was really pretty, and he made me feel really good about myself. And so, yeah.
Why do you think that meant so much to you?
Because I have very low self-esteem, and I'm very self-conscious about everything about me, and so he just made me feel really good about myself. And the fact that it was from a stranger and not prompted from any friends or family or anything, I think that's kind of what really made it feel so special, and like, okay, it was really genuine, and he wasn't just telling me because it's something I wanted to hear.
I got in a car accident and I spun around like 6 times and I ended up hitting trees, and then he just, out of everybody who passed by me, he was the one who came to get me out of the trees. He drugged me out and he was like, "Hey, are you alright?" I was like, "Yeah, what happened?" He was like, "Well, you just crashed into some trees." And then he told me he was a retired EMT, so he helped me out a lot. Out of everybody that passed by, ain't nobody really like stopped to help me out. And then this random guy seen me crashing on the side of the road. He stopped and helped me out. I thought that was a good guy, a good stranger.
Recuerdo a una anciana que un día me vio en el autobús, en el bus, and she told me something like, "Tú eres pelirrojo. Los pelirrojos son personas que dan suerte." Y me pellizcó el brazo y me dijo, "Ah, es para la buena suerte." Y se fue y yo me quedé, "What?"
I was a cashier at Home Depot, and I'm non-binary, I'm trans-feminine. I have a really complicated relationship with gender that is a big source of, I guess I could even say, emotional torment for me. And a trans girl came into my line who fully embodied everything that I wanted to be. And it struck a nerve with me. And as our transaction continued and I rang her up and her card kept declining and declining and declining, it was just like, look, if I can help this person, I will. I ate that cost. I just inserted my card certificate and was just like, here you go. I thought that was gonna be it. We left, went about our day. She comes back, completely surprised, with a $20 bill in hand, hands it to me, gives me a giant hug, and tells me that she's really grateful for what I did for her, and that I can be like her too someday, and that it'll get better. And I never really forgot about that. If you're out there and if you see this, thank you. Still means a lot.
Can you try to describe to us what feelings you were left with after she said that to you?
I felt less alone. I felt like I wasn't a freak, or that I wasn't weird or outlandish for feeling that way, and it made me feel like other people experience the same thing. And even though I know other people experience that, I'm not the only freaking non-binary kid in the world. It still feels like it sometimes. And knowing out that there are people out there with the same kindness in their hearts that you like to keep in yours is a really comforting feeling.
One stranger that stood out to me was actually this couple. They were probably in their late 50s. I remember walking to school every morning, well, most mornings, and even on mornings where I wouldn't walk to school, I would drive by because they would always walk past me, and they would just be walking next to each other, whether it was raining, the weather was, even if it was absolute, like, excuse my language, they would always be with each other, always talking every morning. It was when I was in high school, so 3-4 years ago, and I still wonder, like, if they're still walking down that path, if they're still talking to each other.
3 days ago, I was on an airplane. This man offered me $100 to switch seats with him, and I didn't. So, the most memorable, most recent, that's it.
Why do you think it's memorable?
Because no one ever offers me money to do things. Not that I want that, but like, yeah.
So why didn't you do it?
I didn't want like strings attached. That would be weird. Like, I feel like I'd be compelled to like have a conversation with him that I just didn't want to have. And so, yeah.
I was 20. I woke up, somebody came out from under my bed with a knife and a bandana and told me they were going to kill me. And the only thing I knew to do was to say Hail Marys. And he kept getting mad at me, saying, what are you saying? What are you saying? And I just kept saying, Hail Mary, full of grace. And the next thing I know, I come up out of that bed with my fist and he's against the wall and running out of my home. So to this day, I'm glad I didn't do it to you today. When somebody wakens me, watch out.
Oh.
Never caught. We moved. And I haven't had a negative stranger incident since.
Well, I'm glad.
Me too. But what I was really left with was the power of prayer. That's the end story. That's what I remember.
It was junior year of high school. I was in Boston in the Logan airport, and I was killing a bunch of time with my parents, so I decided to walk around. And there was this really, really long hallway with a bunch of moving walkways, and there was this lady with her son with like 7 suitcases like running from one side to the other, and I wasn't doing anything, so I was like running along the moving walkway, and I asked her if she needed any help, and she didn't speak English very well, but I was like carrying her bags, and then I just tried to like make conversation, and she was saying that her family, her mom had like just passed away, so she was going to visit. So that kind of like resonated with me, because you really never know what everyone's going through until you like start the conversation. So I actually wrote my college essay about that, and I'm in college now, so it worked out, right? It's kind of crazy because there's this very specific emotion where like you could be surrounded by, especially in college, you're surrounded by so many people in the same stage of life as you, but it's so easy to feel lonely. You definitely feel some sort of hope when you realize that everyone has so many different stories that you don't get to hear until you start the first conversation. So I love talking to strangers. This is what we're doing now, right? Yeah. It's hard to take the first step to start a conversation, but I think it's really important to do it in the first place.
There you go. I agree.
Yeah.
There you go. Hey guys, thanks for watching another episode. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet and you want to subscribe to my channel, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it so you'll get notified every time I put up a new episode. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you guys again, and I'll see you next week.